I'm about to unpack some things just dealing with the Heru journey and hero's journey, and just to show you how it's lined up with other things before. And we can start with Heru first. But if you look at the picture I used for my last video, Hero's Journey, you got Atlas holding up the plane. Holding up the world. And if you look at that, that's pretty much bearing the weight of the world, and pretty much that's you trying to change the world, or you falling in love with the world and letting the world take a toll on you. Pretty much what I said about having to run out of gas, the road to riches. Like, this world is taxing. That's why we're here. And let's just read some Heru descriptions. Heru symbolizes leadership of all sorts. I can't get the word out. Suspiciously, specifically the leadership and demonstration of the position of ruler of two worlds, or two lands, my bad. But I talked about in the hero's journey, becoming the ruler of two lands is pretty much the higher self and the lower self, or both hemispheres of the brain, depending on how you look at it, or within as without. And it's pretty much being the transmitter or the medium between both of them. And that's Heru and Hercules, Spider-Man. You can even look at Lucifer, like where they are fallen angels and they have the access to get back, but they I'm not gonna say Lucifer, but with Hercules and Spider-Man, they choose to be Spider-Man choose to be the hometown hero, and Hercules choose to come back and fall in love and stay in love with his girlfriend on Earth or whatever like that, and just be the hero on Earth. And when you really look at the true purpose and meaning for Earth, is like there's going to be a lot of lost people and broken people, and they're here for a reason to pretty much wake up. And if you're really trying to change them, it's really pointless, because they're here for a reason already, and it's not your job to do that. But I'm gonna kind of get into that. He was originally considered to be the counterpart and the enemy of Set, which everybody would consider the devil, or the lower self. But it's actually, while Horus was represented as lower Egypt, which was actually the lower self, Set was represented as the higher self. And the reason why, just to talk about that real quick, is because Set pretty much is set in his ways, and it is the higher self. It's yourself that's always trying to tell you to come back to home, or come back to me, in a sense of, this world's not good for you, this world is not of you. And that's Set in versus Horus, which is the lower self of the fallen angel, which can rise or fall, in a sense of, it has the gateway, it's the key, in a sense. And just to keep reading, that's why it's the lower self, because it's the reason it can fall or come back up. That means it can be caught in that lust, it can be caught in those lessons, it can become caught in those illusions. Versus Set is above all that, and it won't ever And pretty much the two were in battle, which would not be won or lost until the world ended and everything slipped back into chaos. And the world ending is pretty much you realizing that the battle and trying to fight it and change it, and once you just having that full realization and realizing everything is you and eternal, and just talking about spiritual, not the actual physical world. And this is the battle between your higher and lower self, and realizing you can't change this world, realizing you can't be that hometown hero, realizing the best thing for you to do is be in that heavenly realm, and being that heavenly realm would be chaos and not structured, not in bondage, not in where limitation or restriction. That's why it's chaos. And it's not even chaos to us, because that's the best way to learn, that's the best way to be free, that's the best way to do anything. You're not necessarily tied up, or you're not wearing yourself down, because you're pretty much always you're just free, pretty much, and you're moving in chaos. And it seems like chaos because you're always contradicting yourself. Like, you might be doing this one day and then doing that the next, in the sense of it's just the spirit. And being in this physical realm, when you want to do those certain things that limitate us, and we starting to wake up to that and figure that out. And this world is technically chaos to us, because we can't, it's so structured. And that's why black people be late to shit, and black people can't be as structured as we see other people, because like Asians and things like that, because they're of this world, they love this world so much, they're on the time. Like chaos don't have time, and that's a part of structure and restriction. Like, we're not timely beings, we're a part of the universe, which is timeless. And that's why we just don't coincide with the clock of this world. Like pretty much, the reason I say they're so good on structure because everything evolving in this world is off time from the sun, the moon. Everything is a structured clock. But when it goes to the universe, it goes outside the realm of physical and time and all those different things. So that's where we come from. And that's that chaotic realm. And you can also call it when something of chaos comes to a structured realm, it will make that structured realm chaotic because I mean honestly it'll just start picking apart all the different bullshit things in it. Honestly, that's just how we are. Like if we go to a job or something and they all hella strict, or if we do anything like it just and we're a free soul, a free spirit, we're not gonna be able to operate in it. Either we're gonna leave or we're gonna change it, one or the other. And that's pretty much the same thing happened with America happening with this world. Like they call us the devil, they call us anti everything because we're breaking down their structures, we're breaking down their illusions when we wake up. And it's because we're from chaos and that's a part of our beings. Like, and we're not going to understand in the sense of physical. When we see chaos, you're going to start judging people because you think you're supposed to be structured, you think you're supposed to be moral, you think you're supposed to be sane. But all this structure, all this bondage, all these laws, all these, I mean, yes, universal laws and things like that, but it's 100% different from, the things that they put on us, the laws of this world and the really pretty much restrictions in this world. Like, it's 100% different and it's pretty much going against us. And, like, it just keep reading. I think I broke that down good enough. Pretty much everything slipped back into chaos. And pretty much the myth evolved, and soon it would start that Horus and Set fought for 80 years before the Council of Gods ruled, that Horus ruled over Egypt. And Egypt is and it may seem strange that Horus was associated with Lower Egypt and associated with kin with Upper Egypt, but just the lower and Upper Egypt is just showing you that it means the mind, and it's not necessarily a physical place. It's like it's the temple, and the reason Horus is the third eye, or Horus is the temple, because Horus can rise and fall, and until Horus learns his lessons in that rising and falling, it won't ever become set in his ways. Where we, in the sense of actually defeating Set and realizing Set in death is the reconnection and not, the disconnection, and realizing this world is not everything versus how death can give us so much more than what we think that, and so much more than what we really think we supposed to get in a sense. And I mean death in the sense of, the physical realm, in the sense of just our mind, spiritually, all these different things. I don't really like to just explain things because I see how I see it. Whatever interpretation you get from what I said, I mean, that's what you have to deal with and begin to unfold or build on. But like I said, Egypt and pretty much Horus is the ruler of that, because like I said, he can rise and fall. That would be like he's the gateway, like I said, the key to the higher self, to death, which is the gateway back to chaos, which is said when the world ended and everything slipped back into chaos. But it's all the illusion, so death is really, like, I talk about death and all that before, so you really shouldn't be scared of that shit. Well, let's see. And then when you look at Lucifer, like if you look at his symbolism, he has he has horns holding up the sun, and it's just go to show you that he's pretty much another one of those beings where he's putting the weight of the world on himself. And the reason that you can say that is because he wanted to save the fallen children that fell before him, and that's the reason he ended up falling, because the people are mad in the sense of, if you're looking at it as an actual physical occurrence, the higher self was mad, the other higher beings was mad that you were helping the lower self, and they felt that you shouldn't, in a sense, because they were being punished. But Lucifer pretty much gave us a gateway, the key, the pineal gland, the way back, access way back to the heavens or whatever like that, and that's how he ended up being punished and being a part of the fallen angel. So you look at him as being necessarily evil, or the reason you hear, but it's definitely different. But let me get into some more stuff before I start breaking it down. Just want to get into some more. I guess I can talk about Osiris, but I don't really want to get people lost if they're not really fucking with that already. But just, I guess I can talk about the people that bear the weight of the world. Like, well, let me see if I can find some more stuff. Okay, here goes. Yeah, this is something I was looking for. Symbolism between Horus and Jesus. Like, Horus supposedly was born on December 25th. He's like the morning star, and he was born from the Virgin. He was raised from Azarus, which Azarus is death or whatever, and Jesus was born from Lazarus or whatever. And I talk about Azara. They talk about that in the Badland, actually. Well, it might not be the exact word, but it's a play on that word. He had 12 disciples, and that's just the 12 disciples just go to your 12 zodiacs, and Horus was the 13th, where Jesus was the 13th zodiac or whatever. And that's becoming outside of the cycle of 12, time, and all those different things like that, and breaking out the cycle. And becoming, that set in your ways or whatever, finding death in a sense. I shouldn't say set in your ways because you're going back to chaos, but finding set and not trying to battle set no more in a sense, not battling death no more. And just like I said, a lot of these stories have just been played back in the day, and then it just go to show you how the Jesus story is a balance of two worlds, and the same story as Forrest, and how Jesus is the Spider-Man story, and then all these other stories that I've pretty much talked about before, from the Black Panther and all these different things. Let me see, I got a couple minutes. Let's talk about, okay, now I'm going to go into Lucifer, since I talked about the similarities between them two. I feel like that's good enough to stand on. Come on now, I don't got that much time. But I know Lucifer is called the morning star, and that's the same thing that's called Osiris is called. And like I talked about how Lucifer helps and stuff like that, but Lucifer still would be the lower self versus Set being he having a higher self. Like Lucifer came from somewhere, and pretty much his actions or whatever the reason that he's fallen, but he still has access to get back up. And he's still going through that battle of, whatever, life and death, which is, light and darkness. Let's see. Maybe I want to do a different comparison. How much time I got left? Like 3. And what's funny, usually when you go, like, I'm looking at Lucifer versus Jesus stuff, and they got Lucifer as being dark, but he's clearly the morning star. And so, I mean, and then it says God versus the devil, so that's clearly all bullshit. I talk about all this bullshit, but, I mean, how can light be battling light? And they make it seem like Lucifer is the dark light, but it's clearly his name is the morning star. And the whole understanding of Lucifer is mishaps. And Lucifer is really Jesus, because he's your savior in a sense. If he gave you connection back to heaven in a sense, that's what they tell you. And that's what Lucifer did. He's your light back to the universe. But it's really all the pineal gland. It's all internal. It's not some outside savior. It's some stuff that's inside of you. And we shouldn't look at these things so physical. Well, yeah, you can find a lot of different things. I'm about to just get into. I got a minute or two. We'll see. If I find something, I'll find something. Yeah. You're going to get a bunch of different doctrinations, because a lot of people are not going to, okay, it's like Lucifer, morning star versus Jesus, so it's going to be honest. And this is just like a thread. It's not even being like a, see, it's actual people talking about it, not no actual like universities and shit like that. Universities won't talk about Lucifer, reals, origins, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, y'all get into it yourself and realize, I mean, the true comparisons and understanding what the true mission is, and don't put the weight of the world on you, and realize that's really the trick and the scam, and falling into this illusion, being trapped here and thinking it's this thing you got to change. Like, the last thing I forgot out, like, Heru is the leader of the dead, or the god of the dead, and it's because he has the right, or the god of the dead can rise and fall type shit. And just with that alone, it's the same as Jesus. Like, he was here to help the broken and lost people, like the dead. And if you're dead, in the sense of this is hell, and that's just the understanding that we're in bondage and restriction, and you're not really trying to change hell, you're trying to get out of it.